Hi! Hello! It's Castor Ayuban, your PWD vlogger. Solving problem on permutation. So you're going to solve problems on permutation. Learning competencies. At the end of the lesson, you are expected to, number 1, find the number of permutations of n objects taken are at a time. So you are going to find the number of permutations of n objects taken are at a time. Number 2, you are going to solve problems on permutation. So we have the permutation of n objects taken are at a time is given this formula. We have permutation of n objects taken are at a time is equal to n factorial over n minus r quantity factorial, where n there is the number of objects and r we have number of objects taken from the given objects at a time. So we have now permutation of n objects taken are at a time is equal to n factorial over quantity n minus r factorial. I will give you an example. We have how many different ways can 7 students be seated for a selfie if only 4 sets are available? How many different ways can 7 students be seated for a selfie if only 4 sets are available? So doon ay mga 7 ka estudyante. Gusto mo lingkod pero 4 ka seats ang available. So pila ka different ways ang atong mahimo niini. So how many permutations? Solution. There are 7 objects to choose from n equals 7. Again, there are 7 objects to choose from. So we have n is equal to 7. And there are 4 places or seats to be filled. We have r equals 4. So you are going to find the permutation of 7 students taken the 4 seats. Because there are 7 students and there are only 4 seats to be filled up. We have now permutation of n objects taken are at a time is equal to n factorial over quantity n minus r factorial, where we have n is equal to 7 and r is equal to 4. So you are going to substitute n, we have 7 factorial over quantity n is 7, then minus r is 4, then factorial. So you are going to process this. You are going to write 7 factorial to factorial notation, or you are going to expand 7 factorial to, we have 7 times 6 times 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1. All over, what is 7 minus 4? So that is 3 factorial. Again, from 7 factorial, we have 7 times 6 times 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1. That is factorial notation. And all over, we have 7 minus 4 is equal to 3 factorial. So from that, you are going to write, you have 7 times 6 times 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1 all over 3 times 2 times 1. So in this case, you are going to cancel 3 from the numerator, then 3 from the denominator, then 2 times 1 and 2 times 1 from numerator, and from the denominator. So, ang nabilin, we have only 7 times 6 times 5 times 4. And what is 7 times 6 times 5 times 4 in your calculator? So, we have now 840 ways. So, the answer is 840 ways of permutation of 7 objects taken for at a time. Other questions? So let's proceed. We have now what's more. So this is now you are going to answer the following problems. We have number 1. Evaluate permutation of 6 objects taken 4 at a time. So N there is 6 and R is 4. We have now the formula. Permutation of n objects taken R at a time is equal to n factorial all over quantity of n minus R factorial. So this time, 6 factorial over quantity 6 minus 4 factorial. But what is 6 factorial in factorial notation? This is 6 times 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1. And what is 6 minus 4? This is 2 factorial. So this time, you are going to take 6 factorial until 2 factorial because the denominator is 2 factorial. 6 minus 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 factorial all over factorial. So this time you are going to cancel 2 factorial over 2 factorial. So ang nabilin, we have 6 times 5 times 4 times 3. And what is 6 times 5 times 4 times 3 in your calculator? So this will be the permutation of 6 objects taken 4 at a time is equal to 360 ways. Okay, let's proceed to problem number 2. How many ways can 4 officers in grade 10 chastity class be elected among 45 students? Again, how many ways can 4 officers in grade 10 chastity class be elected among 45 students? So we have now given N is equal to 45 students and we have R is equal to 4 officers. You are going to find permutation of N objects taken R at a time. So we have the solution. Again, we have directly our formula is permutation of N taken R at a time is equal to N factorial over N minus R factorial. So you have substitute N is equal to 45 and we have 4 is our R. So we have 45 minus 4 quantity factorial. And this will be what is 45 factorial. So we have 45 factorial divided by 41 factorial. And we have now 45 factorial can be written as 45 times 43 times 42 times 41 factorial all over 41 factorial. So you are going to cancel 41 factorial and 41 factorial. So the remaining factors are 45 times 44 times 43 times 42. So using your calculator, you have the answer 3,575,880 ways. So we have now the permutation of 45 students taken for officers at a time is equal to 3,575,880 ways. Let's go to number 3. 8 students are lined up to be seated. How many ways can 4 of them be seated in a row? Letter B. How many ways can all of them be seated in a row of 8 chairs? So you're going to answer first letter A. Again, the problem is we have 8 students are lined up to be seated. Letter A. How many ways can 4 of them be seated in a row? So we have now the given. You have N is equal to 8 students and R, we have 4 chairs. And you are going to find the permutation of 8 students taken 4 chairs at a time. Substitute the value of N is equal to 8 and we have the value of R is equal to 4. So this will be equal to 8 factorial over quantity 8 minus 4 factorial. We have now 8 factorial over what is 8 minus 4. So this will become 4 factorial. And we have now 8 factorial can be written as 8 times 7 times 6 times 5 times 4 factorial all over 4 factorial. So this time you are going to cancel 4 factorial. So the remaining factors are, we have 8 times 7 times 6 times 5. In your calculator, the permutation of 8 students taken 4 chairs at a time is equal to 1,680 ways. So there are 1,680 ways if you are going to get the permutation of 8 students taken 4 at a time. And let's go to still number 3. 8 students lined up to be seated. Letter B. How many ways can all of them be seated in a row of 8 chairs? Again, 8 students are lined up to be seated. How many ways can all them be seated in a row of 8 chairs? Again, this time the given is equal to 8 students and R is equal to 8 chairs. So we have find permutation of N objects taken are at a time. So we have now the value of N is equal to 8 and the value of R is equal to 8. So this will be equal to 8 factorial over 8 minus 8 factorial. So this time, this will be 8 factorial over 0. So we have now 8 over 0 is the same as 8 factorial. Okay? So we have 8 factorial over 8, 0 factorial is just equal to 8 factorial. 8 factorial becomes 8 times 7 times 6 times 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1 in your calculator. The permutation of 8 of students taking 8 chairs at a time is equal to 40,320 ways. Okay, so it's the end of my discussion, and for lesson number 2, we have now distinguishable permutation. You have lesson 2, distinguishable permutation. Thanks for watching. For videos, please click here and subscribe my YouTube channel. Thanks for watching.